I am live. Okay, so it would seem. Hello, everyone. Okay, first up, can you hear me okay? Sound check. Am I coming through? And also, am I coming through on TikTok as well? Can people just let me know in the comments whether you can hear me all right? I hope you can. I really do. I'm Guy. We're all Guy. Roche. Ciao from the cold London. Pepe, I'm heading back to London very soon. Loud and clear on YouTube. Hooray! Hooray! That already feels like a win. Wow. Hello, everyone. You can hear me. That's fantastic. Hello from France and Bulgaria. Vinci, are you in two places at once? What's going on there? You can't be in both. I'm pretty sure. Where was that excellent comment? I wanted to bring that up on the screen as well. They're all good comments. Here we are. What a great start. I'm Guy. We're all Guy. No, it is the wrong show. I wonder how George is doing. George, if you're watching, I'm sending you my love. Hello, everyone on TikTok as well. I'm broadcasting on TikTok too. I'm doing two things at once. So maybe it is possible to be in two places at once, like France and Bulgaria. Thanks everyone for joining. First up, apologies for missing last week's one. I just had so much going on, and then I remembered sort of on Thursday afternoon. I was like, oh my god, I've got to be doing a live stream, and I literally just hadn't got anything prepared, wasn't in the zone, was juggling too many things. So apologies for that. I look forward to these every week. I love listening to Guy. Patchcorn Adams, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Hello, everyone. So where are you all joining from? I'm seeing Nigeria, Germany, Rio, Calgary, Alberta, from Germany as well. Excellent. Excellent. All these places where I'm reliably assured it is absolutely freezing. Sydney. Oh, brilliant. Stop saying Evan. All right. All right. I promise. No more ums for the rest of the stream. Good Lord. Some of you guys, you're really picky, aren't you? I can't help saying Oh, there we are. So how are you all doing? How's morale? We're deep in the bear market now, aren't we, folks? We're deep in crypto winter. It is cold AF out there, metaphorically speaking. How are people holding up? How are you doing? Everyone getting through it all right? Yes, CoffeeZilla versus SBF. Now, I haven't yet seen. I was been wanting to watch this CoffeeZilla video all afternoon, and I just haven't had a chance yet. But I mean, he got him to say he was a fraud, which is, I mean, news in one way and just no news in another way, because we all know that. But you've got to take your hands off your hands off. You've got to take your hat off to CoffeeZilla for what he's done with all this FTX coverage. It's been great, and obviously getting SBF to admit that he's a fraud is extraordinary. And I mean, what an extraordinary week it's been, watching SBF talk at this Dealbook Summit, talk on all these Twitter Spaces. He was talking with Frank Chaparro, wasn't he? Just going everywhere. What is he trying to achieve by this? I've got my particular theory on it, which I imagine is something that all of you are sharing as well. But anyway, before we get into all that, Guy, enough talking about FTX. Please, let's move on. Physician, I could not agree with you more. I would love to stop having to talk about FTX, because I think we're all heartily sick of it by now. I think we were all heartily sick of it about 3 or 4 weeks ago, weren't we? Unfortunately, it does still rumble on, so we do have to cover it a little bit. But I am going to talk about some other things that are non-FTX related, and I might even ramble about some things that are non-crypto related as well, because the markets are really, really quiet out there, aren't they? Hi from WaveM Studios. Hi guys, how you doing? Good to hear from you. I haven't watched that footage yet because I've just been so busy, but I'm saving it for when I get back to England. So that's there's some news for you folks. Next week on Monday, I think it is. Yeah, I'm heading back to not so sunny old England for a few weeks for Christmas to see family, friends, all that sort of stuff, and just experience some cold for the first time in months. I have not worn a jumper since I got here to Dubai. I know that sounds very boastful, so I apologize for all of that, to everyone who's currently freezing their behinds off in various parts of the Northern Hemisphere. So I say, dude, you say. It's okay. Yeah, we're of course joined by some of our regulars. We're regulars here. We've got the dude joining us as always. We've got Jerome Owl as well. He's saying hi. There he is. He's in his usual high spirits. You'll be pleased to know. And well, we've got all of you as well. We've got all of you on TikTok, and we've got all of you on Coin Bureau Clips. Cold AF here in the UK. Yes, I can well imagine it is. Have you watched Who is Satoshi Nakamoto? J2 Day, I've watched a lot of kind of Satoshi Nakamoto related content. Is this something that's on Netflix or something like that? Because I haven't had a TV ever since I got to Dubai, and that was September. So I've basically missed everything that's been on Netflix or Amazon or Apple or any of these other things. I'm really out of date with what's on TV at the moment. So is that Satoshi Nakamoto thing? Is that a Netflix thing? Do I, in other words, have to go out and get a Netflix subscription in order to watch this? Because I will, if that's what it takes. Tunbridge Wells, not disgusted though. Nigel, I'm glad to hear it. There's not many non-disgusted people in Tunbridge Wells. Jasleen Goraya, which city do you prefer to live in, London or Dubai? That is a very good question. I must say, I do miss London an awful lot. I don't miss the weather, and I don't miss the fact that I have to worry about my wife coming home late at night if she's been out with friends or anything like that, and having to phone when she gets in an Uber. This is the thing about Dubai, or one of the things about Dubai, is not only is it very nice and warm most of the time, or it certainly has been since we got here, it's also very nice and safe as well. And that is a very important consideration for me. So the jury's still out, but I'm looking forward certainly to getting back to London next week, seeing some of my good for nothing London friends and my good for plenty of things family. It's going to be lovely. Where is everyone else going for Christmas? Are people starting to think about heading home now, or are you all just staying in place? Has the bear market basically meant that you can't afford an airfare anywhere home? Vinci Setskov, are you still in Dubai? Yes, I am. I know it doesn't look. I mean, I could be anywhere, couldn't I, with this get up behind me? But yes, I am still in Dubai. Power broker, football or cricket? Cricket every single time. Good Lord, did you have to ask? Okay. So now whoever made that comment about me saying has now made me really self-conscious about it. So thanks for that. Wow, Christmas in Tenerife. Lovely. This sounds great. How is everyone doing on TikTok as well? Generally the vibe is a lot more anarchic over on TikTok, I tend to find. But thank you, everyone. When do I lump back on Bitcoin, baby? This is the question, isn't it? This is what we all want to know. When is it going to be time to buy again? Well, we'll get to that, because I want to talk. Well, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about, actually. All the Bitcoin accumulation that we've been seeing over the past few weeks, basically ever since FTX went down. And that's been really interesting to see, and quite heartening as well, because obviously we've seen lots of selling, and we're going to see lots more selling, I think, before things start getting better. But one of the things that has really cheered me is to see Bitcoin shrimps and Bitcoin crabs accumulating some BTC, and maybe at the expense of all those whales as well, which is great. DCA all the way. Yes, good thinking. I need more Thank you, Daniel. That's good. I'm going to put that up. Oh, well, when is it not to buy? Well, Wayne, I'll get to that. Hang on. I wanted to put, I need more There we are. Anyone complaining about the ums, please speak to Daniel. For those of you on TikTok who just don't know what I'm talking about, someone watching the stream on Coin Bureau Clips as well has instructed me not to say anymore. And now I'm feeling very self-conscious. Anyhow, it's part of who I am. Yes, it is. Okay, so shall we start off? Shall we have a look at the charts? Shall we just, I mean, do we want to do that? Do we want to have a look? How do I share my screen? Now, this is something that I thought I'd figured out just the other week. Let me just check something here. Good. Okay, I've had a message from one of my team saying everything looks great. So they are obviously not watching the live stream. Guy, I always wonder if you sleep at all. Is that because we churn out so much content here at Coin Bureau, or is that because I look haggard? I must say, I think the camera makes me look worse than I actually am. I have actually been sleeping quite a lot recently. Well, that's because I go to bed ludicrously early. Yeah, I have been. Guy doesn't sleep. So much content. Yes, there is, isn't there? Well, you know, I'm the front man for this. You know, I've got a big team working. Well, not that big a team, but I've got a very dedicated team working behind me, helping me to make this content. You know, so I may be the guy filming it, but I've got lots of people helping me behind the scenes, which is why we're able to bring so much content your way. Although I must say, this is obviously all me. I fear you are taking umbrage to being told how to speak. John, take a bow, sir. Wow, I think I might have to bring that one up as well. Okay. Right, so I was going to share screen, and okay, what am I wanting to do? Share screen. I want to share a tab, and I want to share this one. There we are. So for the benefit of those on TikTok, obviously we're having a quick look at the price. Let's just refresh and have a look. Obviously, yeah, for a few days this week, BTC was able to be just kind of hovering above 17K, wasn't it? It just did not want to give that position up. It has tumbled a little bit below that, but generally holding up all right. ETH just is pretty boring these days, isn't it? Doesn't do anything interesting. Just kind of trades pretty sideways, really. It kind of seems to be holding that $1,200 mark pretty well. ETH, I must say, is holding up very, very well in this bear market, and I think that's obviously the merge and the fact that ETH is now deflationary. So yeah, it's holding up well. Anything else particularly grabs my eye? Dogecoin, as usual, yo-yoing all over the place. What else is there? What else is there interesting to look at? Chainlink. Link staking kind of went a bit flat, didn't it? I've got a theory behind that, which I'll talk about later. Trust Wallet. Wow, Trust Wallet's doing well, isn't it? Obviously, self-custody is a big thing. I've actually done a video on the best mobile wallets. I think that might even be out by now. So do have a look at that, because Trust Wallet is a very good platform. And it's obviously one of the big gainers. Axie Infinity's gained a bit over the week. I wonder why that is. Okay, let's go back to the old comments there for a sec. So here we are. All right, so let me just give you a rundown of what I'm going to talk about today. So in the stream today, I'm afraid going to have to talk about SBF a little bit more because there's a lot still happening in that story, folks. It's just going to be, we just got to get used to it. Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift did well, didn't she? Managed to not sign that $100 million sponsorship deal that they were talking about. Did you see this in the news? The gags just coming through. Will you need an umbrella when you turn to London? Fantastic. Keep it up, guys. Keep it up. I'm going to show that as well. Maybe I'll talk about crypto at some point. I'm going to talk a little bit about Circle. Obviously, Circle cancelled its plans to go public, which was, I think, took a few people by surprise. We've got this news from Nigeria as well. Have you seen this? People in Nigeria are now being limited in how much cash they can withdraw a day and per week. And this is all because of its central bank digital currency. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well. Again, just some interesting data regarding Bitcoin as well. I touched on that business about Bitcoin shrimps and crabs accumulating, but it's very, very interesting to see what's going on with BTC at the moment and the buying. Chainlink staking, we'll talk about that. Have people seen the CoinDesk 50 most influential people in crypto 2022? Anyone seen that article? I think that came out, was it yesterday or the day before? I've got a little bit of a beef with that article, and spoiler alert, folks, it's not because I'm not in it. Okay, this isn't sour grapes from yours truly, but I do have a couple of questions to ask about that CoinDesk article, the 50 most influential people in crypto. By and large, I agree with it. But I think, yeah, there's a couple of things I want to raise about that. Yeah, lots of people asking about this. No, Bouchami, you're not late. You're not late. Don't worry. We've still got 45 minutes. I'm going to go until the hour. So yeah, you've still got plenty of time to hear me ramble away. Do not worry. You're not late at all. Let's talk about Charles not being the real king. Okay. Wow. Interesting. Yes, I keep forgetting we've got a king. This is one of the things about being out of the UK for the past few months. I've completely lost touch with the place. I keep forgetting we have a king. So I'll have to prostrate myself before him when I return, probably. Yeah, lots of people talking about this fancy new ledger. I've seen some pictures of it, and it looks pretty good, doesn't it? I haven't actually got my hands on one yet. This is the one designed by the guy who did the iPod. One of my colleagues here at Coin Bureau made an interesting point about that, again, which we'll touch on later. I've got my thoughts on what the next month or so could hold for us, guys. A lot of people, I've seen lots of stuff on crypto Twitter and elsewhere, people saying, oh, I think we could be due a pump soon. I think I think maybe the bear market's coming to an end. I don't know where they're getting that from, folks. I don't know where they're getting that from. January is going to be cold, okay? And yeah, just generals, apart from those, just a few general bits of chit chat, chewing the fat, price of tea in China, all that sort of stuff. So thanks as ever for joining me, folks. Guy, you have the best voice in the industry. Please keep doing live shows. Thanks, Raul. That's very nice. It's well, why don't I put that up as well? This is very much a blowing my own trumpet sort of stream today. ETH flip BTC during the next bull run. It's possible. It's possible. Don't rule anything out. So, okay, right. Let's talk. Sorry, I just keep reading through all these comments. I could quite happily just sit here for the entire stream and read out all people's generally wonderful comments. How about Apple removing Coinbase from the App Store? Yeah. There was all this business. They're trying to say that in-app purchases there should be gas fees paid for them, and Apple should get a cut of that. That could turn ugly, couldn't it? Right. Okay. So let's get it over with, folks. Let's talk a little bit about SBF because we just have to. I'm afraid it's been so surreal, hasn't it? This week. Now he now seems to be on this weird. I wouldn't call it a charm offensive because I don't think SBF and charm are two words that you would put together. But it seems to be this odd. I think personally, this is my theory on the whole matter. I think he does have an idea of just how much trouble he's in, and he is now sort of speaking to all and sundry, basically anyone who will listen. And I think basically this is all being done with the intent of basically building up an image for himself, influencing a future jury in a future trial, which I think must happen sometime. I think it could be a long, long time, partly because I think there's just so much evidence to get together. This is such a big deal. There is they're still having to dig through the ruins of FTX and Alameda. They're still trying to find where all the money was. So that's going to take a long time. Then there's going to be building a case and all this sort of stuff. In the meantime, SBF, I guess, is just going to continue living life in the Bahamas because, let's face it, folks, life just ain't fair like that, is it? It sucks. It really sucks to see the fact that he's still at liberty, still at large, and able to just go on Twitter Spaces and podcasts and this. How about this interview at the Dealbook Summit? In front of an audience of sort of chin-stroking people who paid $2,500 a ticket or something. That was just. I've done a video on that, by the way. That is coming out maybe later today, or I might save it to tomorrow. Depends how I'm feeling. But yeah, I think this whole sort of charm offensive from SBF is basically trying to shape the narrative around himself as a guy who had good intentions, who meant well, who didn't mean to hurt anyone, but who fudged the numbers and who made mistakes and who is very sorry and shouldn't be locked up for the rest of his natural life. That seems to me to be what he is, the narrative that he is trying to spin out with all these podcast appearances and Twitter Spaces and all that sort of stuff. And it's utterly bizarre because, like I say, I mean, CoffeeZilla managed to get him to admit that he was a fraud. And I think anyone with even the sort of rudimentary legal knowledge can see that he's a fraud. And it's interesting. I've seen some very interesting theories going about in the last few days or so about how this whole FTX and Alameda story could actually have gone on a lot longer than many of us thought. And I'm hoping to speak to someone tomorrow about it for an interview, which I will put up here on clips if it all goes ahead. I'm hoping to speak to someone who's worked in traditional finance, who really knows the ins and outs of sort of high pressure trading and all this sort of stuff. And he's got some very interesting takes on the whole FTX and Alameda situation. And yeah, it's quite possible. It is more than possible that Alameda was underwater for much longer than we thought. And yeah, this is not just something that happened because Terra blew up, but actually this has been bubbling away for a long, long time. So I'm really looking forward to digging into that a bit tomorrow. And if that interview goes ahead, then obviously I'll put that up here on Coin Bureau Clips ASAP, so that you guys can enjoy it as well, because I think that will be really, really interesting. So, and obviously some of the big news this week was that picture of Caroline Ellison, former Alameda CEO, of her in a New York coffee shop. Now, of course, as far as I know, we haven't seen that picture authenticated. I mean, that could have been taken months ago for all we know. But it's certainly an interesting one, isn't it? And I mean, would you be surprised if she's back in New York City? As people pointed out, she wasn't all that far from the district attorney's office. And I think it's almost inevitable, folks, that Caroline and probably also Gary, Nishad and Sam Trabucco, I think it's very, very likely that they are going to strike deals with US prosecutors. You know how prosecutors tend to work in the US. You have these plea bargains and things like that, basically spilling the beans for lighter sentences. And I would imagine that is going to be at SBF's expense. So we're going to have to wait, I think, quite a long time to hear what they have to say. But I tell you what, when it's time to hear what Caroline knows and what Gary Wang knows and what Nishad Singh knows and Sam Trabucco, I am going to be on the edge of my seat for that one, because yeah, there is still so much that we just don't know for sure about what's been going on behind the scenes there. So, and a lot of people, New York City, apparently, just in a coffee shop, like I said. And someone else, lots of people spotted the fact that the dog, who's Gopher, I think Gopher, this poodle sort of cross or something, that she had that with her as well. But again, like, I'm not sure if that photo has been actually verified as being from last week or a few days ago or whenever it was. But yeah, so that's really all we know. And I mean, where are Gary, Nishad and Sam Trabucco as well? Because they have kept, I mean, we haven't heard anything from them at all. We know sort of all about what's going on with SBF. And of course, I've been talking about the podcast interviews and the spaces that he's doing. Been all these profiles in the mainstream media as well. There was quite an interesting one in Bloomberg. A guy who'd previously sort of written about him in a very complimentary ways, went and visited him at this in the Bahamas, where he sort of holed up with his bunch of supporters, which I think includes his parents. I mean, I'm not sure who else. Who are these other people? I'd love to know that. There's so much that we just don't know. Okay. Evan apologizing now for the ums thing. Okay, God, I've just remembered that I've got a really pleased with myself comment up on the screen for Coin Bureau Clips, and I do apologize for that. So let me see if I can find a better comment to have. Some extraordinary comments here. Enough about SBF. Let CoffeeZilla handle him. You're right, Juan. You're absolutely right. Yeah, this is a job for CoffeeZilla. So I'll talk about Brett Harrison instead, who was FTX US president. He obviously stepped down in late September. and now apparently is looking for $6 million in funding for a new crypto startup. And that's just crypto, folks. Why is nobody talking about this? This industry just gets more and more crazy with every passing day. So obviously the big thing I think that everyone is wondering is, will SBF show up for this congressional hearing on Tuesday? And let's talk about Tuesday, folks, because Tuesday is going to be very, very interesting for anyone in crypto, because first up, we have this business of whether or not SBF is going to turn up and start answering questions in Congress. And of course, he's got an interesting dilemma there, hasn't he? Because on the one hand, he has a choice of, going of basically ignoring this subpoena, which I think is a pretty serious thing. I think you ignore congressional subpoenas at your peril, really. So he's got a choice between doing that, or he's got a choice between going to Congress and most probably lying in front of Congress. So he's kind of caught between a bit of a rock and a hard place, isn't he? Anyhow, I'll let CoffeeZilla handle that. The other thing to watch out for on Tuesday, folks, is that we have the next set of interest rate hikes from the Federal Reserve. Yep, it's time for that. So maybe I could bring up, shall I share my screen on, let me share my screen on Clips. I want to share the FedWatch tool screen, because that is, I don't know if you can see that on Clips. So at the moment, the FedWatch tool is saying there is pretty much a 75% chance that we're going to get a 50 basis point rate hike. That seems to be what the markets are expecting, but there is still a pretty decent chance, only 25%, but I've seen worse. There is still a chance that we could see another 75 basis point hike. It does seem unlikely, but folks, would you rule that out after everything that 2022 has thrown at us? Would you rule out the Federal Reserve just jacking another 75 basis points? I certainly wouldn't. I think we're all going to be a lot older, wiser, more cynical, more wary, more questioning once 2022 is over. So they should make it a 0.666% rate hike. I like that. Yes, I think that would be good. I think that would sum it up, wouldn't it? So that's something to watch out for, folks, on Tuesday. Tuesday could be a big day. We've got SBF, will he or won't he appear before Congress? And we've got the Federal Reserve, will they or won't they raise interest rates by 75 basis points? It does look like it's probably going to be 50, which could maybe cause a small pump in the markets, because as we've seen, traders will just grab onto any good news, any scrap of good news. But let's face it, folks, interest rates in the United States are going to go up again next week, and they are going to go up again in other countries in the coming weeks. So we've just got to get used to it, folks. And the big question is, well, there's two big questions around interest rates, aren't there? When will they stop hiking rates? When are they going to slow the pace? And how long are they going to hold rates, and at what level? This is something that's going to be, I think, one of the dominant narratives of 2023. Will they have seen enough evidence that inflation is starting to come down by early 2023, say? So will they pause rate hikes then and just hold them at 4%, 5%, whatever it's going to be? So it's going to be interesting. And I've got some more. I've got another video. Jerome Powell was talking at the Brookings Institution recently, and there was some interesting stuff in that little speech and Q&A that he did. So I've covered that in another video. I just filmed that earlier before I came on air here. So that will be with you probably quite soon, actually, because otherwise it'll get a bit dated. So look out for that in the next few days. There's some interesting stuff in that video for sure. And I've just been filming a video on digital IDs as well. Me and the research team, we dug down deep into that. There was some interesting and scary stuff about digital IDs in the future, folks. That is, yeah, all tied into obviously things like CBDCs and stuff like that. So there's there's a lot to unpack there. So keep a lookout for that video as well. And CBDCs. Speaking of, here's one of my seamless segues. Have you seen this news from Nigeria in the past couple of days or so? So Nigerian citizens, not only individuals but businesses as well, are going to be limited in how much cash they can withdraw on a daily basis. And if I remember rightly, the figure for individuals is $45 a day. That is going to be your limit for withdrawing cash in Nigeria. That, folks, is crazy. That is really crazy, and it is really scary as well, because basically this is all in support of the e-Naira, all in support of the Nigerian central bank's digital currency, the big CBDC. Nigeria is one of the countries that is kind of really ahead in the race to get its CBDC out there, and obviously India as well. India's started trials, obviously China too. Basically, CBDCs are coming, folks, but keep a very close eye on what happens in Nigeria. I think it's going to be really interesting because, firstly, this is going to be the playbook, folks. This is going to be one of the ways in which they make it impossible for people not to adopt CBDCs, because all the data says that a tiny amount of people, I think it's about 10% of people around there, would voluntarily adopt a CBDC. No one cares. No one wants these things. No one is interested in them. No one sees the point. So they've got to find a way to do it. And I think this is going to be a big part. They're going to limit people's access to cash. They're going to make it harder and harder. Because remember, governments, they don't like cash because cash is harder to trace. Cash is harder to tax. So they want to, and this is a big thing behind CBDCs, folks. It's not just about the surveillance aspect of it. It's not just about that control, but it's also about things like taxation as well. It's also about trying to squeeze off that kind of cash economy so as they can tax it. So watch the playbook in Nigeria very, very carefully, folks. And look, okay, conspiracy theory time. I wouldn't be at all surprised if we saw perhaps some manufactured crisis in Nigeria or something like that, where people can claim aid of some way, be it financial aid, be it food aid or anything like that. But they have to use the e-Naira, they have to use the CBDC to do it. So keep a very close eye on what goes down in Nigeria. Yes, none of your business. The US is taking notes. Yeah, the US is taking notes not just of what goes on in Nigeria, but other countries as well. And obviously, a lot of eyes will be on India, how India's CBDC, the digital rupee, goes as well. And we've got obviously lots of other CBDCs. We've got Bitcoin apparently coming out one day, one day soon. Yeah, nothing to look forward to on the CBDC front, folks. But do keep a very close eye on how that goes in Nigeria. Invest in land and water. They can only take a portion of worthless paper. Yeah, not good. Land, water, and Bitcoin as well. So a lot of people asking where I think the markets can go from here. I'm afraid, folks, I still think we could be headed lower. I'm afraid, because we are still staring down the barrel of things like war in Ukraine. We still have China seems to be easing off its zero COVID policy. Now, this is kind of good on one hand, because it does mean perhaps that we could see a loosening, we could see trade start to open up a bit more. Some of those supply chain issues could start to, improve slowly. I think it will be a slow process as well. But if China really does ease off these COVID restrictions more and more, then a side effect of that is going to be a massive increase in energy demand, because a lot of Chinese manufacturing has been, if not on hold, then really kind of wound down a lot over recent months as they've pursued this crazy policy of zero COVID. So if the Chinese economy starts to really grind back into gear, we're going to see a lot more demand for energy to keep the lights on in factories, to keep machinery running, to keep transportation running, all this sort of stuff. And that extra demand for energy is going to translate into higher energy prices. And folks, the Europeans out there are can tell me, you know, how's it going out there in Europe? You know, the energy crisis is really getting into its swing now, and I think this is going to be with us for a long time. Rodolfo Andrade, you are asking about energy crisis and Bitcoin miners. How will it affect the hash? Yes, I wanted to talk about Bitcoin miners as well. I've seen some data from Glassnode. I'll maybe share that with you in just a sec. Some Glassnode data that says miners are selling, and they are selling a lot. Let me see. Hang on. Let me see if I can get that screen up for you guys on Clips. Share screen again. Let's share that tab. There we are. Miner net position change. I've talked about this metric on Glassnode a few times now. Obviously, in terms of the miner selling that we saw around 2012, let me just scroll up so you can see the dates there. That's a bit better. So obviously, we've seen larger amounts of miner selling in the past, but that was generally often when the price was in an uptrend. Now we're sort of trading sideways, but if you can see there, just on the extreme right there, we are starting to see a lot of miners selling, and this is going to increase, folks. Now, there are a few reasons for this. Obviously, the Bitcoin price itself is not what it was by any stretch of the imagination. So miners are almost certainly having to sell some of the coins they've been sitting on for a while in order just to keep their operations running, to keep the lights on, to keep the machines running. But also, of course, this ties into to energy concerns as well. And this, again, goes back to what I was talking about with China and zero COVID. We're going to see probably a lot more demand for energy. OPEC is also talking about cutting production again. It is ruthless out there. Those energy markets are really, really ruthless. So, folks, that is miner net position change. Some good data from Glassnode. Glassnode is a really, really good resource for all sorts of crypto data. So, so do check it out, folks. Yeah. So energy concerns are going to have a big impact on crypto, and I think this is one reason why we could see the markets go lower. Remember as well that the United States, they've been running down their strategic petroleum reserve in order to kind of offset some of the inflation, basically keep prices at the pumps low. Because I know you Americans, if you can't get your gasoline, you get very grumpy. So we've got a lot of energy related concerns, and that is one reason why I think crypto could go a lot lower. And this relates to the fact that oil prices will go up. That will worsen inflation. That means interest rates could go up as well. But it also spells trouble for Bitcoin miners. Obviously, Bitcoin mining needs a lot of energy. And not only may they be forced to turn off the machines because of energy costs, but if the winter in Europe gets cold, and in America as well, lots of governments, lots of authorities have talked about forcibly shutting Bitcoin miners down in order to conserve energy, and that is a genuine concern, folks. That is something I'm watching very, very closely. I'm keeping a close eye on the miners over the next few weeks and months, and I'm keeping a close eye on the weather as well, because I think for the same reasons I just outlined, if the temperature does drop, and there is that more demand for energy to keep people heated, then I think that could be bad for crypto. So it's going to be tough out there. Yes, can't drive to work without gasoline. Very, very true. Guy should start module solar mining rigs as a business prop to secure the network. I'm going to build one. Let's have a look at this. I want to read this. I'm going to build one. Spread worldwide could safeguard us all. Artec picture buggy. I think that sounds a great idea. I don't know how. I mean, I'm no expert on solar or renewable energy as well, but if you can get a solar powered mining rig up and running, then come to Dubai and put one on the roof of Coimbra HQ. By all means, that would be brilliant. And yeah, we need this, and this would be a great thing, wouldn't it? If more and more people, if we're able to diversify the mining grid, diversify that hash power, because the last thing we want to see is too much Bitcoin mining. And this is again something that rising energy prices are a threat, because it means that the big Bitcoin miners, the ones that are really well capitalized, will be able to gobble up more and more of that hash power. because the smaller miners just won't be able to compete. They'll go out of business. So, and that obviously means centralization and what have you, and that is the last thing we want. So we've got lots of things to be concerned about over the next few months, guys. And look, I know it would be nice if I could pump you all full of hopium and say I think we're on the verge of a reversal. I think the Fed is going to stop raising interest rates. I think we're going to go into another bull market very, very soon. I'm sorry, folks, just none of the data that I'm seeing, none of the news that I'm seeing suggests that in any way whatsoever. And I would really enjoy it. I would love it if I was wrong about that, because I would love to see another bull market ASAP, but I just can't see how it's feasible at the moment, folks. So yeah, sorry to be all Ben Cowan and bearish on you, but that's just the way that I see it at the moment, folks. So there we are. Okay. So what else was I going to talk about as well? Oh my word, I was going to come back to, I'm afraid I've got to come back to SBF one last time because I did see a fascinating article on Decrypt shortly before I came on air. SBF is now being investigated over the Terra collapse as well. Now, folks, if this is indeed true, now obviously investigated doesn't mean that he's actually implicated in it, but there is a chance. And of course, the big question around the Terra collapse, the thing that everyone wants answered, is whose wallet was the first to withdraw from the curve pool? Whose wallet, this withdrawal that basically started this whole death spiral. And one of my colleagues here at Coin Bureau, Dan, our head of research, he speculated a while back that it could belong to Alameda, that wallet. And I must say, me and a couple of the others, we sort of shouted him down on it. We were like, Dan, I just don't think that's possible. I don't think that wallet could possibly have belonged to Alameda. And look, he might be right, folks. We might be wrong, but it's possible. So again, keep an eye on that, because yeah, if SBF and Alameda and what have you are implicated in the Terra collapse, yeah, I heard about this. It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, absolutely right, Flat Smack. Absolutely right. How's everyone doing? No bull run in sight until 2024. Afraid so. Afraid so. That's what the TikTokers are saying. Okay. What else am I going to talk about? I want to talk about Circle. So, did you see the clips video that I did yesterday talking about how Circle has abandoned its plans to go public? It was going to go public, I think it was supposed to be this month. And that would have been a big old moment for Circle, obviously. It's now abandoned those plans. And really, it just seems like it's because of the bear market, because of the collapse of FTX and all that sort of stuff. So Jeremy Allaire, the Circle CEO, he was saying that they are still planning to go public sometime in the future. And as I speculated at the end of that clips video I did yesterday, I think that could be a sign that the bull market is on the way back. If you see Circle announce that its plans to go public are back on, that could be a very bullish signal indeed. So do keep a lookout for that as well. But I think we could be quite a long way from that moment. Some interesting speculation here. Now, this is just pure speculation regarding Circle, but Circle earns a lot of money. And a lot of this money obviously comes from all these assets that it has backing USDC. Remember, that's billions of dollars worth in assets. And most of that is in short-term US treasuries. And the yield on that is something in the region of 4%. So 4% return on billions of dollars worth of treasuries, that is a lot of money. I mean, that is tens of millions, possibly even hundreds of millions of dollars a month. So, but Circle's revenue was much, much lower. And that suggests that Circle is burning through cash. And this, of course, could be another reason why it's put going public on hold. And someone was speculating perhaps this is one of the reasons why Binance decided to stop support, well, basically start converting all USDC into BUSD, because perhaps they noticed that Circle was spending a lot of money and thought, well, let's see if we can just drag the price drag the market cap of USDC a bit lower and put the squeeze on them as well. That is pure speculation, folks. I don't have any evidence for it, but I mean, let's face it, Binance, they ain't shy about squeezing competitors, are they? So I wouldn't be at all surprised if that was the case. Again, this is something to keep an eye on, and keep an eye on the market cap of USDC as well. Obviously, it was kind of flying not so long ago, but it has lost ground against Tether. It's still comfortably ahead of BUSD, but for how long? So that's something to watch as well. I've talked about Nigeria and its frankly evil plans to restrict people's cash use. I've talked about Bitcoin miners selling. This is interesting. This is a statistic. This is an article I saw on Crypto Slate earlier today. Over 8%, this is a direct quote, over 8% Bitcoin supply was bought between 15.5K and 17K. That, I think, is very, very interesting. Shows a lot of people have been buying this dip. So a lot of people think that perhaps the bottom is in. I disagree personally, and I must say I'd be fascinated to see how much buying would go on if we dropped to, say, 10K. Could we drop to 10K? I hear you answer. It is possible. It is possible. I think 10K would be 10K. I can't see us going much lower than that, but hey, folks, I've been wrong about these sorts of things before. But it would, however low Bitcoin drops, it would be fascinating to see how many people pick it up, because I've heard so many people talking anecdotally. So many people say to me, "Oh, I'd love to be a whole coiner. I would love to own one whole Bitcoin." And I think this is an ambition that a lot of people have, because we all know there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. We also know that several million of those Bitcoin have been lost. So there's actually going to be a way fewer than 21 million. And of course, it's been calculated that Bitcoin is really so scarce that there isn't even enough for every single dollar millionaire in the world to have one. So I really do understand where people who want to become whole coiners are coming from. And I really do think that could incentivize a lot of buying, especially if we do fall lower. So I'll be interested to see. And obviously that's Bitcoin shrimps. So are you guys all familiar with this term? A Bitcoin shrimp is someone who holds up to 1 BTC. And a Bitcoin crab is someone who holds between 1 and 10. So I think a lot of people will be looking to cement their shrimp status, maybe move up into that crab bracket. So I'll be very, very interested to see that, because I think there will be a lot of buying around 10K. Guy, 10K will be bought up quickly. I happen to agree. I just wonder whether it's interesting, because what will sentiment be like around that price? A lot of people will be underwater. Even more people will be underwater if Bitcoin drops that low. Of course, we could see a lot of liquidations if it dips below 10K. Then we could see a lot of liquidations, which would drive that price even lower. And Bitcoin plankton. I like that. Bitcoin plankton. So what's a Bitcoin plankton? Someone who has fewer than just a handful of sats. How many Bitcoin planktons are there out there? Okay, yes, I think, but it would be very interesting to see just how sentiment holds up if Bitcoin drops that low, because will a lot of people throw in the towel? Will those liquidations drive the price ever lower? Will people start panic selling? Will people think the end is in? I, for one, folks, if I see Bitcoin drop that low, I will certainly be looking to buy at that level. But hey, everyone's different. And let's face it, folks. Now, another reason why I think we could see the market go lower is that we're basically in the run up to Christmas now. And apologies to anyone out there who doesn't celebrate Christmas or doesn't care about Christmas or anything like that. I understand how you feel. But obviously, lots of markets in Europe and America and elsewhere, the run up to Christmas is happening now. People are in a kind of spending mood, but I think things generally tend to darken a bit in January, and I think we could see things like more layoffs. We could see people realizing that they've spent way too much money over Christmas and start to tighten their belts. That could mean that they sell some assets as well, and that could mean that they sell some crypto. We could see some long-term hodlers sell to cover their costs. And let's remember, folks, obviously, rising interest rates means people's mortgages are going to be getting more expensive. People's everyday bills are going to be getting more expensive. And that often means that people are forced to sell assets. They just don't have any choice in the matter. So that's another reason why I think we could go lower as well, and why, you know, there may just not be people willing to buy at those levels. Guy, are you accumulating anything? What am I accumulating at the moment? I did buy up a little bit more ETH and BTC just recently. I'm not planning to accumulate anything other than that, folks. I'm very much sitting it out on the sidelines. So when will I be accumulating again? Well, like I say, I'm going to wait for it to go lower. I think I'm not really starting to accumulate. I'm not really thinking of accumulating in any particular volume until, well, obviously next year at the earliest. And yeah, I really couldn't say. ETH to 800. I remember the bankless guys talking about ETH going to 3 figures at some point. But as I say, you know, ETH is holding up really, really well thus far. It's been one of the kind of winners of this. Christmas is for people with kids. Here's another interesting comment. Guy, sister, I would love to have you for a brother-in-law. I do have a sister, NFT Angelo. She is married, though. She's married to a very nice chap who is very fond of crypto. I don't think he's all that impressed with having me for a brother-in-law, to be honest. I think he's over it. But he's very, very knowledgeable about crypto as well. So my sister sort of gets very, very bored whenever him and I get together and start talking about it. I don't think she's interested in crypto in the slightest. But Nico, when will you come to India? Oh, wow. Well, I'd very much like to. I was invited out to India for a conference not so long ago, and I just couldn't make it work, folks, because I was going on holiday and I just had so much more to do. But I am hoping to get on my travels more. More Meet the Team videos, please. Okay, Coin Bureau team watching this. I know you're watching this, Coin Bureau team. There we are. People want to meet you. Now we had a great video with Dan, didn't we? Head of research, really interesting guy. I am working on other members of the Coin Bureau team, and yeah, we're going to bring you more of that next year. And we do have some plans afoot for the Coin Bureau team as well. Not in a bad way, but yes, I would love to. I would love Bitcoin is not just for Christmas. I would love to get some more of the Coin Bureau team on camera, those that are fit to be seen. Some of them, I'm afraid, just can't be allowed near a camera. They're just too disgraceful. But I have got a couple of them that I'm working on. So yeah, that's going to be something to look out for next year. More Coin Bureau team members. Which country going to get the World Cup? England, obviously. Yeah, what a silly question. From what I've seen, I haven't watched, I must admit, folks, I haven't watched a single second of football, even though it's happening just up the road from where I am now. But from what I gather, Brazil, I mean, is anyone really betting against them? They look pretty good from what I've heard. And I mean, traditionally they are anyway. I'm talking about football. I'm sorry. Are you going to BTC Miami conference? I'm hoping to. Jury's out. Maybe. I went last year. No, I went this year. Wow. I tell you what, like, just even going back to May this year, I was talking to Macy about this the other day. Even going back to May this year feels like years ago. So I was at Bitcoin Miami this year, and I would like to go back next year. It's a bit of a longer flight now, and it's a bit more of a journey. But I'm not ruling it out, folks. I had such a good time. Are you an Aussie? No, mate. So I would love to go back to Bitcoin. I'd love to go back to Miami. I had a really great time last year, so fingers crossed. But I need to go to other crypto conferences as well. I need to go to ETH Denver and the likes of that as well. Anyhow, okay, we've got just sort of 5 or 6 minutes left, folks, before I leave you in peace to get on with your weekend. We still had hopium in May. We certainly did. We certainly did. Crypto is measured in dog years. Can you please recommend a book for crypto? Yes, I can. Okay, quick crypto book, folks. What was the one? I really enjoyed this one. Are they all going to fall over if I do that? I really enjoyed that one, folks. I read that that's about Brian Armstrong and Coinbase. Really, really interesting. You may not be fans of Coinbase or whatever, but it's a really, really interesting book. Very well written as well. I'll have another recommendation for you very soon. But I should Aussie intro next time. I did do an Aussie intro a while back. So how are we all doing, folks? So Chainlink, I want to quickly talk about Chainlink staking. Obviously, lots of people were getting excited about link staking, and it went live, and meh, nothing happened. Well, the price dropped about 6% or something, didn't it? I think personally, my personal theory on this is that lots of Link Marines, lots of retail fans of Link bought it in advance of staking, and lots of Chainlink whales basically sold it to them in advance of staking. So, I mean, look, this is this is a bear market. Even if Link had pumped, it wouldn't have pumped by very much, and the pump wouldn't have lasted very long. But yeah, I noticed stakers there. I think that's locked up for about a year now. I think they won't be able to access the stake link or the rewards for a year, and I think that's until the next version of the protocol comes out. So that link is locked for quite a long time. But folks, keep an eye on the project. You know, keep an eye. There'll be a lot in store for Link for Chainlink over the coming months, and yeah, definitely one to watch for the next bull run. Okay, just got a few minutes left. Ethereum is a scam. No, Mr. Musketeer, Ethereum is not a scam. No, really. Do people still think that? I mean, I know Corey Clipston thinks that. I know the hardcore Bitcoiners think that. But really? No. Come on, folks. Come on, guys. Now, oh yes, okay. CoinDesk, 50 most influential people in crypto 2022. Really interesting article. I thought on the whole, they had some really good choices in there. It was a very interesting read. As I said earlier, I've got a couple of issues with it. Now, as I said, this is nothing to do with the fact that I wasn't on that list, because there were much more deserving people than me who didn't get on the list. But Rishi Sunak, really? And he was high. He was like number 5 or 6. Rishi Sunak, one of the most influential people in crypto in 2022? Nah, bruv. No, what CoinDesk? Come on. And then who was the other one? Matt Damon. He was in an advert for crypto.com. Okay, I know there's been a lot of backlash over that, but Matt, one of the most influential people in crypto, I don't buy it. It doesn't wind me up quite as much as Rishi Sunak, but yeah, that's crazy. So I've got those those are my two beefs. My two main beefs with CoinDesk's 50 most influential people in crypto. My other beef is the artwork. What is up with CoinDesk artwork? Some of it is really good, and some of it's just really weird. Did you see the picture of Kobe? Now, obviously, Kobe, definitely one of the most influential people in crypto this year. If you don't follow Kobe on Twitter, or if you don't listen to Up Only or watch Up Only or anything like that, you should, because it's great, and he's great. He's one of the best people in crypto. But yeah, he was on this list, and like everyone knows what Kobe looks like. He's got long blonde hair, and they made him, and they had a picture of him just bald. And I think even Kobe as well was like, what's going on here? It was very, very strange. But Boogeyman saying, pulled out of a hat, those names. I don't agree. No, I think guy's 51st on the list. maybe I'll content myself with that. Yeah, I was the 51st most. I don't think so, no. But yeah, there was some very, very bizarre artwork. I remember they made CZ look quite weird as well. So yeah, very, very strange. But yeah, so those are my only gripes with the CoinDesk article. 50 most influential people in crypto. Rishi Sunak, not in 100 years. I can maybe see the point with Matt Damon. Okay, he's influential in that he was in the Crypto.com advert, which might have influenced people to use Crypto.com and to sign up or whatever. Okay, you can have that one, CoinDesk. Rishi Sunak, no. What has he done for crypto? He's done nothing for crypto. He's talked about it. But we haven't seen, anyhow. Sorry, folks. So I don't know why that's got me so wound up, but you know. Anything else I wanted to talk about? I think I've covered pretty much everything. The only other thing was obviously this new hardware wallet from Ledger. I'm going to try and get my hands on one of those, folks, and maybe we can play around with that on a video or something like that. But it's as someone here said, it's designed by the guy who designed the iPod, and it's like, well, iPods are obsolete now, you know. It's like they're way behind the curve. They should be getting someone who's designing something a bit more current, which is a fair point, I suppose. Mind you, from the videos I've seen of it, that new Ledger does look very, very nice. So Ledger, if you want to send me one, you know, I'm here. Okay, well, that brings us pretty much to time, folks. So plans for the next couple of weeks. I just want to let you know what is up. So early next week, I'm flying, me and the missus are flying back to the UK, and we will still be filming. We will still keep the content coming your way. But it may be, we got to kind of set out. I'm not quite sure where we're going to be filming it yet. So, but I am still hoping to do some live streams for you as well. So keep an eye out. I'm definitely going to try and do another live stream for you on Thursday. It will probably be from my parents' house. So maybe I'll get my parents on the live stream. Would you like to see that, guys? Parents on the live stream? Trust me, you would not. You don't want that. You don't want that. But yes, so that's the plan, folks. I'll be back in the UK next week. I'm going to stick around there until early January. So if you're very lucky, you might even get 2 or 3 UK-based live streams. But fair warning, folks, the first one will almost certainly be me moaning about how frickin' cold it is there. Okay, so just a warning for next week's live stream, folks. Most of it is going to be taken up with me moaning about the weather in Britain. I don't care what's going to have happened in crypto. Obviously, we'll have to talk about SBF again. But yeah, that'll be the form for next live stream. And then maybe I'm hoping to do one where I'm just sat in front of the fire in a Christmas jumper with a glass of wine, just sort of rambling incoherently. So, you know, is that something people would like to see? Yes or no? Yeah. Where are you at the moment? I'm in Dubai at the moment. Well, I'm in my studio at the moment, but yeah, studio here in Dubai. But yeah, back to the UK early next week. I'm looking forward to it, folks. I'm looking for any of my friends in the UK watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you, even if you're not looking forward to seeing me. So, holiday episode, please. Yep, that's getting a thumbs up. That's getting a thumbs up. In Ireland, it's freezing. Yes, I bet it is. I bet it is. Only grandmas. Parents not allowed. Okay. All right, folks. Well, thank you very much for joining me this week. I missed you last week, and I hope you missed me. But yes, I'll be back very, very soon. And yeah, let's hope we've got some more. Let's hope some good things have happened in crypto by the time we next check in for a live. But it's been a pleasure as always, folks. Thank you, and stay safe out there. Stay warm. Those of you who are not in Dubai or nice warm countries, wrap up warm. Make sure you take plenty of exercise. Keep moving. Keep the blood flowing. And thank you for joining. And I'll see you all next week. Thank you, guys. And hey, no technical problems in this broadcast. How about that? The good times can't be far away, can they? Goodbye, everyone. Okay, let's